haha, the Spanish Grand Prix has come and gone. And the spoils and the spoilers. I'm going to give you every detail, everything you need to know about the Spanish Grand Prix. And there will be only one analysis, but we are going to have some other little videos coming around it. But like I said yesterday, and 2 days ago, and even 2 weeks ago, that these European series are going to be interesting. This is when you are going to start seeing races. You know, for the past 2 years, we've been seeing a dominant team, and the domination is not in terms of, oh, they are just winning races. They dominate from the FP1 to the main race, and that has not been in F1 for quite some years. I know some of you will want to argue with me that Mercedes domination. No, the Mercedes domination, we still see Red Bull winning, Ferrari winning. Even in qualifying, then you know that anybody can go on pole. Anybody can be from P1 to P3. But for the past 2 years, up until 5 races ago, going into any race, we already know that is Max Verstappen pole, Max Verstappen win. It is not new, because that is the height of the demolition that Red Bull had brought to dominate F1. The domination was just too much. But other teams have gathered momentum, and here they are showing their strength and how strong they've developed. Now, let me quickly put this to you as a caveat. People are saying the cost cap is now affecting Red Bull. I disagree. Cost cap should have affected them last year, because it's just a year thing. It should have affected them in a year. But what is really affecting them is development, because they've come first this year again. They will have less development time, and also the amount they are spending on the accident and the changing of the engine they've had, which will reduce their cost cap for this year. So they don't want to take gambles. They don't want to make mistakes, and that is one of the things that is really affecting Red Bull. And other teams, they've developed, because when they were not winning, they have time to build. For those that have lost 2 years, a year, they've developed, they've garnered all their resources, they've developed, and they are now moving closer. And with them not really doing well last year, they still have much time to develop, and that is what we are seeing. So we are seeing a change of batting totally. But let me tell you something, it is certain that Red Bull has lost their domination. Immediately after the Canadian Grand Prix, Max Verstappen started shouting he needs updates. They need to bring upgrades to the car to make the car faster. That was why they sent him to Imola to test drive the RB18 for stability, for riding off the curbs, in which they've had issues for the steering, all those little things that they've been complaining about. But the Red Bull domination is over. At least we are going to have a year and a half of good racing, of good Formula 1, in which Max Verstappen will be put under pressure. But who can always put him under pressure, save for Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton? Lando Norris does not really put him under pressure. So I'm expecting a good fight from Ferrari next year. Ferrari had to bring their chips to the table to fight the chips of the Red Bull. Congratulations to Max Verstappen. Let me talk about him first. It was a race solely won by a driver, not by the machinery or the tools. Clearly today, the McLarens were the fastest car. They have the fastest car in the race. They might not have the fastest car in qualifying yesterday, in which the edge still shows to Red Bull. It was only able to edge Red Bull because 2 of them had toes. Max Verstappen was given a toe by his teammate, while Lando Norris was given a toe by Esteban Ocon yesterday. That toe alone gave them close to 3 to 4 tenths. That was why both of them were able to edge the Mercedes. The Mercedes, I think they concentrated more on their qualifying yesterday than their race pace today. They don't really have the race pace to compete. But when I get to that point, I will explain. If the Mercedes had not given team orders at the particular point in the race, they might have been closer. But we get there. So Max Verstappen did a beautiful job today. Drove well from start to finish. He knew he was meant to overtake George Russell so he can preserve his tire, build a comfortable lead ahead, in which they don't have that kind of lead they had before that. In 2 laps, they are like Otilo, 5 seconds ahead. No. It's a different lead entirely now. It's a different ball game entirely now. If they had like 3 or 4 laps before the end of the race, Lando Norris would have overtaken it. But Red Bull were on point to their strategy, and Max Verstappen, he drove himself out. He was spectacular today. Give credit when credit is due. Max Verstappen was spectacular today. There were 2 drivers that were spectacular today. And I can tell you, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton were spectacular. At the top, they were spectacular. The Alpine drivers were spectacular also. But at the top, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, they were spectacular, very spectacular today. And that is for Max Verstappen. He drove his ass out. He won the race. The last 2 races had been won on merit for him, and that is because of the momentum they've had. They've had momentum for the past 2 years. The momentum keeps him going. And one thing about you having a momentum is, if you know how to use it, it keeps you focused. I can't lose, and that kept him going. And for McLaren also, I think they have a momentum, but it is difficult to place it where they needed to place their momentum, because they have a momentum in the sense that they have a good car going, in which is giving Red Bull a run for their money. How can they convert it to wins? If they can win a back-to-back race, it will give them a higher momentum than the Red Bull, which will put Red Bull under much pressure. Red Bull are under pressure now, but they are not falling apart yet. They need to fall apart for other teams to win. And the momentum in which Mercedes have brought with their upgrades, that also speaks, because they've gained momentum in their upgrades, which are taking them ahead of Ferrari. So we now have 4 horse race. And for the Ferrari, coming back from Canada, coming 5th and 6th, not a bad race, sincerely. Not a bad race. 5th and 6th for Ferrari is not a bad race. I think they did an outstanding job, a splendid job. They've brought upgrades. They need to learn from the upgrades in Austria, from what the datas they have now, to make the car better in Austria and in Silverstone. And I think there are wins for that on those tracks. Like I said, I knew a Mercedes machinery or Mercedes engine would be on podium, and they were. So I thought it would be filled with Mercedes engine or Mercedes machinery. I thought they would be able to put Max Verstappen on pressure, but kudos to him. Like I said, nobody could put him under pressure today. He had it all in his hand. Russell acted like a rookie today, 100%. George Russell acted like a rookie. I think he has a lot to learn. When I get there, I will explain to you. Ferrari, I think it's a good thing Ferrari don't give team orders while they are racing, so it does not affect the morale of the drivers. But I think they need to warn their drivers, because Carlos Sainz was a little bit rough with Charles Leclerc, and Charles Leclerc gave him space at that point. It was a little bit rough, and the same thing that happened between him and Carlos Sainz happened between him and Lewis Hamilton, and he was expecting penalty for Lewis Hamilton. It's a racing incident. While for him there should be no penalty, maybe because it's his teammate. No, Carlos, I disagree with you. Carlos. You need to go and watch it again. It's a racing incident. It was pure racing. There are no more butter in this racing. It is pure racing. Now to Carlos Sainz, a beautiful race for him, for a Ferrari that is coming back from a bad performance or DNFs in Canada. Good race for them. To Charles Leclerc, great race. Coming 5th was a powerful thing for Charles Leclerc after losing to his teammate on the first stint. Came back on soft tires and got the job done. And how did they know the tire they were able to go on? Immediately George Russell and Carlos Sainz put on these hard tires and they were sliding around. They knew it. But Lewis Hamilton said something. He said he knew they were not meant to use hard tires today, because he knew his race should be on soft, medium, soft. Now he should have had an extra new soft tire that would have gotten him closer also. Those are the ways he could have gotten closer to compete with those at the top. But during the qualifying, Mercedes came into the race with 2 used soft tires. 1 new medium tire, 1 new hard tire. George Russell, he needs to learn. He was able to use the toe on the slipstream on the first lap to overtake the McLaren of Lando Norris and Max Verstappen's Red Bull. He was unable to hold that lead. Free here, you are meant to build a comfortable gap, but he could not hold Max Verstappen, destroy his tire, or build a comfortable gap. You know you don't have a fast car, but you are trying to hold faster cars behind. George Russell, who does that? So he lost it. On the second stint, when Lewis Hamilton had his tire change before him, Lewis Hamilton was meant to overtake him, but he said they should play a game along, in which that was where Mercedes started losing. The second part of the race, Mercedes started losing it. If Lewis Hamilton had been able to overtake George Russell, if they had played it fair, they can overtake themselves. Before Lando Norris took advantage and overtook Lewis Hamilton, if Lewis Hamilton had gone ahead when he had the better tires, faster pace to overtake George Russell, and the team had given a go ahead, he would have challenged Lando Norris. He might have challenged Red Bull. But on the hindsight, I knew Mercedes would look at it and know that they made a mistake. The call is not for George. They are still teammates now. George is not the leader of the team. They need to know that George is not the leader of the team. 2, they are teammates. And 3, they need to listen to experience, because it was through experience that Lewis Hamilton knew he was meant to race soft, medium, soft, while George said he will race soft, medium, hard, which had impact on his race. He could have ended the race 5th if Charles Leclerc had been able to overtake him on softer tires. So experience really matters. They came to this track with harder tires, unlike the Canada and Monaco with the hardest compound of tires. You should understand what I'm saying. Lewis Hamilton did a good job, but George Russell needs to learn a lot. Now to Lewis Hamilton, what a race. He did a good job. He was able to come back on the second stint with the softer tire to overtake George Russell, but at that point it was too late, and the Mercedes don't have the pace that the McLaren had. McLaren were on pace all through today. They were fastest car on the track today, and I think from development in which McLaren have and the Mercedes have, I think there might be an opportunity for Mercedes to win a race. I said it before that they don't, with the rate and pace at which they are, they cannot win a race, but with the upgrades they've brought, they are looking possibly to win a race. They are bringing upgrades in Austria and in Silverstone also. And some people have been saying, no, the upgrades have been due to the front wings. No, I disagree with that. The upgrades Mercedes have brought have been due to the floor and the front suspension for now. And I think they need to improve the rear suspension and the rear of the car. That would give them a bigger advantage and a better advantage on those ahead. Their strength is coming from those areas, not from front wings. Front wings cannot give you 6/10. It's not possible. And the front wings that will give you 6/10 or so will be moving up and down. So it's not possible. You need to know that. Mercedes AMG to Toto Wolff, I think Toto Wolff needs to understand that Lewis is still with them, so that they don't have a bad name. They need to manage the two drivers very well and not put them at loggerhead with each other. And I think that's what Mercedes need to work on seriously this season. This is the 10th race. There are 14 more races to go. And the only way Max Verstappen cannot win this championship is because he's not coming first to fifth in the next 14 races. That's the only way he cannot win this championship, because he has won it already. But the Constructors' Championship is not gone. Unlike at the beginning of the season, when we have the first two races, and I was like, well, Red Bull have come to win again. Max Verstappen had won this championship even before they started. But it's a different ball game now. Mercedes need to work hard to get there, and they need to work as a team. While I believe Red Bull also, that are in front, need to work as a team. They need to find a way to bring upgrades to the car. Checo Perez is not that bad. I think this guy is making him look worse. Oh God, that guy is looking worse. Great job for McLaren, coming from a good pole yesterday. They still came second, and Lando Norris attributed it to him sliding on the start, and the start was not good. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton's start too was not good, and he was unable to maintain on the momentum they've had, and that is where their pace is. But I believe they can still challenge those at the front with some necessary upgrades, improvement on the car, changes. They have a good engine already, so they need to do some little things, bring some little upgrades, and make sure that car is functioning. Let us see a better race. The next race is going to be bananas. I'm telling you, in Austria it's going to be bananas. It's going to be very interesting. Alpine, what a race for Alpine. They are getting back on their own front foot now. They've been right behind on the back foot for a long time, but now they are getting on the front foot, and it's looking wonderful for them. It's looking great, a race for them. Coming 9th and 10th in this race. Wow. Behind the top 4. Wow. What a good racing for them, which shows the Aston Martin have regressed. Alonso and Stroll coming 12th and 14. They've regressed. They need to do something. They need to improve the car. You can see the reason why Lawrence Stroll is not happy. They need to find a way to improve the car. Nico Hülkenberg had always delivered. That's why he got the Audi deal. Had always delivered. Came in 11. Good race for him. The V car also have regressed. I think they've regressed. In the first practice, they show signs, but since that time, they've left the face of pride and they are languishing behind. Ricciardo 15th, Tsunoda 19th. And to the Williams, 3 grid plate penalty for Logan Sargent for impeding Stroll yesterday. Alex Albon starting from the pit because they went out of Park Ferme to do some few things on his engine. They still came 18 and 20. Wait, after spending all the energy to make the car move forward, and you are still coming 18 and 20 of 20 drivers, it shows that something is wrong with you. Williams, get to the root of this, because it's important for you guys. Now, a lot of penalties today. They were hitting penalties like chewing gum. Nico Hülkenberg for speeding in the pit lane. 2 or 3 other people got penalties for speeding in the pit lane today. And that is it. And I also think Mercedes, George Russell Garage, they need to work on their tire change, because they've not been good. It's one of the things that affected their race. And beautiful race. There'll be another analysis tomorrow. But this is just showing that we are moving forward, and we are going to be having more fans in F1 very soon. And I can tell you, the next 2 races are going to be interesting. So you cannot afford to miss it. I love you guys. Bye. Cheers.